At one point, I remember reading that you had more than 300,000 contributors, which would make you one of the largest, if not the largest, news agency, probably larger than some countries. But what I wanted to ask you is about how the incumbents felt. We talk about creative destruction. You talk to your cousin who owned a whole chain of newspapers, and here you are figuring out a better way to solve the problem. How do you end up working with Associated Press, with Reuters? How did they feel about the evolutionary economics that was going on?
Yeah, I mean, you can imagine that in the early days of Now Public's life, it was a huge threat to almost everyone that considered themselves part of the journalism food chain. So you had real serious issues where journalists would sort of see Now Public as something that was trying to replace it or prove that it was flawed. And we spent much of our careers in the beginning trying to assure people that this wasn't the point. The point was not to replace, the point was to be accretive and to add and to provide a human context that made journalism better. But the irony was, as we went on and we started growing the business and the base, we started getting a lot more, I would say, aggressive about our views on journalism and less friendly and a little bit more challenging of the underlying theories of a lot of these guys. And one of the best examples was every conference I spoke at where there was anyone at all that touched a journalistic business would ask the same question, which was, what about facts? Who checks your facts? It was just kind of a stupid question after a while. And initially the answer was a polite, look, this is a transparent community, so it's easy for people. It's a two-way channel. It's not a one-way channel. So there's no hiding when mistakes are made. But inevitably, it got a little bit deeper, and we started to sort of flash a mirror in front of them and just say, look, journalism is an art form, but journalists typically try to hold it up as a profession, but it isn't a profession, because as you and I know, a profession means that you are accountable to someone.
Yeah, there's a law society that governs the lawyers, a college of surgeons and physicians.
Right. So I'm still a card-carrying member of the Law Society. I'm still a solicitor under the rules. If I breach my ethical standards, I will be disbarred and I will be not allowed to practice my profession ever again. But if I'm a journalist and I breach my ethics, who do I report to? And the answer is, in truth, nobody.
No one.
Because you could be fired, right? As we've seen many times before. I mean, you can look at the issue with what happened at the Globe and Mail and other areas, that you can be challenged and you could potentially be fired. But at the end of the day, it doesn't stop you from doing your craft. It doesn't stop you from reporting. So it's a fallacy to think that there's any more errors in crowdsourced or crowd-created content than there is in professionally produced content. It's just a fallacy.